Engineering is about pushing boundaries and transforming the world through colossal projects. But not every bold vision reaches completion. Throughout history, some of the most ambitious megaprojects have been left abandoned, unfinished, and even forgotten. From vast tunnels hidden beneath Texas to an artificial river that almost brought life to the desert, these projects had the potential to reshape everything until unforeseen challenges intervened. So, what caused their downfall? Why did these billion-dollar ventures crumble? And what lessons can we learn from the 5 biggest megaprojects that never came to life? Stick around to find out. The USA's $11 billion giant empty tunnel. Buried deep beneath the Texas earth lies one of the most ambitious and costly scientific endeavors ever, the superconducting supercollider. If you haven't heard of it, imagine this. If it had been finished, it would have been the largest particle accelerator ever built. A colossal structure, 3 times the size of CERN's Large Hadron Collider. Instead, it became a $2 billion testament to unfulfilled scientific dreams. A sprawling network of empty tunnels stretching over 14 miles, abandoned and left to decay after being shut down in 1993. To put it into perspective, that's a tunnel about 50 football fields long, leading to nowhere. But what really happened? Back in the 1980s, the US set out to take the lead in high-energy physics, aiming to accelerate particles to energies far beyond what the Large Hadron Collider would eventually reach. The vision? A massive underground ring spanning more than 54 miles, where subatomic particles would race to nearly the speed of light before colliding with staggering force. To put that into perspective, this collider would have been large enough to encircle Washington, D.C., making it one of the most ambitious scientific projects ever conceived. But why build something so insane? Well, you see, scientists had hoped these high-energy collisions would reveal the universe's deepest secrets, unraveling everything from the Higgs boson to the enigmas of dark matter. And they weren't wrong. The Large Hadron Collider, located at CERN near Geneva, Switzerland, made history in 2012 when it confirmed the existence of the Higgs boson, the particle responsible for giving mass to other particles. Beyond that, the Large Hadron Collider has delivered groundbreaking discoveries in dark matter, antimatter, quark-gluon plasma, and the early universe, pushing the boundaries of fundamental physics. In the process, CERN and Switzerland have solidified as the global hub of modern physics. But here's the catch. While the LHC is the world's largest and most powerful particle accelerator, featuring a 17-mile or 27-kilometer underground ring where protons collide at near-light speeds, had it been completed, the superconducting supercollider would have dwarfed the Large Hadron Collider, with a planned 54-mile or 87-kilometer underground ring that would have made it more than 3 times the size of the LHC. It was designed to reach far higher collision energies, potentially making groundbreaking discoveries decades earlier. So, what happened? Construction began in Waxahachie, Texas, and by the early 90s, workers had already excavated 14 miles of tunnels. But as costs skyrocketed from $4.4 billion to over $11 billion, Congress, facing a recession and growing doubts about funding what many saw as esoteric science, shut the project down in 1993. The result? A half-dug billion-dollar labyrinth buried beneath Texas farmland, and a community of frustrated scientists with nothing to show for years of work. Nearly 2 decades later, in 2012, CERN's Large Hadron Collider made history by discovering the Higgs boson, a breakthrough that might have happened years earlier, right in Texas, had the superconducting supercollider been completed. Some physicists argue that canceling the project set American particle physics back by an entire generation, while others insist that abandoning it mid-construction was an even greater waste. At one point, the empty tunnels were considered for alternative uses, including data storage and even mushroom farming. Yes, really. But today, they remain a billion-dollar ghost town, a monument to a scientific revolution that never came to be. The superconducting supercollider stands as both a symbol of humanity's boldest ambitions and one of its greatest missed opportunities. It had the potential to redefine physics, Yet instead, it serves as a cautionary tale of what happens when scientific vision clashes with political reality. But if you think that was a disaster, wait until you hear about what happened, or rather is still happening, in Nicaragua. Nicaraguan Canal. When it comes to megaprojects that have repeatedly failed to deliver, few are as underwhelming as Nicaragua's $50 billion attempt to revive the Panama Canal, a project that never even got off the ground. To understand why this grand vision kept collapsing, we first need to look 1,341 kilometers south to Panama. Panama is home to the world-famous Panama Canal, a 50-mile or 82-kilometer artificial waterway that connects the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans. Since its completion in 1914, this engineering marvel has revolutionized global trade, allowing ships to bypass the treacherous and time-consuming Cape Horn route around South America. Handling 5% of global trade, the Panama Canal is a crucial artery for US, Chinese, and international shipping, drastically cutting transit times and costs. Since Panama took full control in 1999, the canal has remained a key economic and geopolitical asset. Its 2006 expansion, which enabled larger vessels to pass through, only strengthened its position as a dominant force in global maritime trade. Here's the thing. Nicaragua wanted its version of the Panama Canal, and not just any canal, but one of the most ambitious engineering feats of the 21st century. The Nicaraguan Canal was designed to be wider, deeper, and nearly 3 times longer than the Panama Canal, stretching 170 miles or 275 kilometers from the Caribbean to the Pacific. To put that into perspective, that's about the same distance as driving from New York to Philadelphia. But quite sadly, today, all that remains are abandoned construction sites, lost investments, and a mysteriously vanished billionaire. For centuries, Nicaragua was seen as an ideal location for a canal, even before the Panama Canal existed. At one point, the US seriously considered building it there, but Nicaragua's volcanic activity led them to choose Panama instead. And just as quickly as the idea emerged, it was abandoned. Then came Wang Jing, a Chinese billionaire with a bold vision, a $50 billion megaproject that would reshape global trade. His plan? A canal capable of handling the world's largest ships, cargo giants so massive they could transport 400,000 cars in a single voyage. As expected, the Nicaraguan government eagerly embraced the plan, granting Wang a 100-year concession. And just like that, in 2014, construction kicked off. The land was cleared, villages were displaced, and workers poured in. It all seemed real. But then, silence. So, what went wrong? By 2015, work on the project mysteriously came to a halt. There was no excavation, no dredging, no construction of locks, only some roads and ceremonial groundbreaking events. What happened? Well, it turned out that Wang Jing's fortune collapsed almost overnight. Wang had made his billions in telecom and stock trading, but in 2015, China's stock market crashed, causing him to lose 85% of his wealth. As a result, the project ran out of funding, and the promised foreign investors never showed up. At first, the Nicaraguan government continued to claim that the project was still on track, but by 2017, it became undeniable. The canal was dead. The farmers and indigenous communities whose lands were taken, still waiting for compensation. The thousands of workers, gone. And the billionaire behind it all, completely disappeared from the public eye. Today, you can still spot remnants of abandoned roads in the jungle, weathered construction signs, and families who were displaced for a project that never came to fruition. The canal, once a $50 billion megaproject with the potential to revolutionize global trade, ended up little more than a footnote in engineering history. A cautionary tale of unchecked ambition, geopolitics, and financial ruin. If you think that's troubling, just wait until you hear what the Soviet Union was up to. $20 billion for an abandoned space shuttle. When people think of space, NASA is usually the first name that comes to mind. But did you know that the USSR was on the verge of taking that spot? The Soviet Buran space program was designed to be the USSR's response to NASA's space shuttle, a massive engineering achievement that could have solidified Soviet supremacy in space. It was larger than a commercial airliner, nearly as long as a Boeing 747, and weighed more than 60 tons. However, unlike its American counterpart, the Buran was fully automated and made history as the first and only space shuttle to complete a mission without a pilot on board. But what happened to it? Initially, the program was a success. Its debut flight in 1988 went off without a hitch. The Buran launched atop the powerful Energia rocket, orbited Earth twice, and made a perfect landing all on its own. In many respects, this shuttle was a game changer, demonstrating that the Soviets had created something even more advanced than NASA's shuttle. Just 3 years later, disaster struck when the USSR collapsed, and with it, the Buran project disappeared overnight. The billion-dollar shuttles were left to decay. Some were dismantled, while others were left to gather dust in hangars deep within Kazakhstan's Baikonur Cosmodrome, a once bustling Soviet launch site now reduced to a ghost town. In fact, the original Buran orbiter remained in a forgotten hangar for over 30 years, gathering dust and slowly rusting away. To make matters even worse, in 2023, disaster struck once more when the entire roof of the hangar caved in, burying the Buran shuttle under tons of steel and concrete. This wasn't just an accident. It was the final blow to a forgotten relic of the space race. A machine built to withstand the vacuum of space, the searing heat of re-entry, and the immense forces of launch was ultimately brought down by neglect and a collapsing roof. To put it in perspective, it's like discovering a rare Lamborghini prototype abandoned in a barn, left to rot for decades, only on a far grander scale. The Buran was an engineering marvel, lost to time simply because history moved too fast for it to have a place. Today, the remnants of the program serve as a haunting reminder of what might have been. The hangars, once alive with thousands of Soviet engineers, now sit in eerie silence. The vision of an autonomous, reusable space shuttle vanished with the Soviet Union, leaving behind only rusted metal and broken dreams. In a world where SpaceX and Blue Origin now lead the space race, the Buran remains a forgotten relic of innovation, a tragic monument to one of the greatest megaprojects that never got its chance. As for the future, our next story explores a project that aimed to redefine what a home could be, but I'll let you discover how that turned out. The $50 million alien ghost town. In nearly every aspect, the Sanzi UFO houses were envisioned as the future, a $50 million luxury resort on Taiwan's northern coast, designed to look like something straight out of a sci-fi fantasy. The architecture was equally striking, featuring pod-shaped structures resembling flying saucers perched on cliffs with breathtaking ocean views. Each unit, roughly the size of a school bus, was stacked together like a futuristic Lego city. It was meant to be a utopia until disaster struck. Construction kicked off in 1978 with grand ambitions, an ultra-modern retreat designed to attract wealthy tourists seeking a high-tech escape. At first, everything seemed on track. The pod-like homes, built from fiberglass and reinforced concrete, were unlike anything else of their time. Painted in vibrant shades of blue, yellow, and pink, they were meant to showcase the future of housing. But before the first guests could ever step inside, the project began to fall apart in the worst possible way. People were dying. The tragedies began early, with workers reporting fatal accidents on site, some crushed by collapsing structures, others losing their lives in car crashes near the entrance. Before long, rumors of a curse spread like wildfire. Some claimed the resort was built on an old Dutch burial ground, while others insisted it was haunted by vengeful spirits. Superstition took hold, and soon, investors started backing out. As expected, without funding, construction came to a standstill in the early 1980s. The once futuristic pods, designed as a vision of modern luxury, were left to decay. Over time, nature reclaimed the site, and the round windows, once meant to showcase breathtaking ocean views, became hollow, staring blankly into the void. Graffiti covered the walls, stray dogs roamed the empty halls, and the abandoned resort turned into a playground for urban explorers, ghost hunters, and thrill seekers drawn to its unsettling silence. For nearly 30 years, the Sansi UFO houses remained a sci-fi ghost town, a haunting reminder of a dream that never came to life. Everything changed in 2010 when the Taiwanese government decided to wipe the slate clean. Bulldozers rolled in, and within weeks, the entire complex was reduced to rubble. Today, all that remains are old photographs and whispered legends. What was once meant to be a groundbreaking megaproject became nothing more than a graveyard of ambition, consumed by fear, misfortune, and the unstoppable passage of time. If you thought a $20 million haunted alien estate was weird, well, stay tuned, because up next we have a $25 billion failed river in the middle of the desert. A $25 billion desert dream that died. Libya's Great Man-Made River was a $25 billion vision, an ambitious project destined to be one of the greatest engineering achievements in history. It was a river created from nothing, slicing through the Sahara to transform the barren desert into fertile land. More than just a pipeline, it was an artificial Nile, delivering fresh water across a landscape where rainfall was almost non-existent. It had the potential to reshape the world, both figuratively and literally. And for a while, it did, until war stopped it right in its tracks. To grasp the sheer scale of this project, imagine a vast network of pipes so massive that a truck could easily drive through them, stretching over 2,800 kilometers, or 1,740 miles, roughly the distance from New York to Denver or London to Istanbul. But these weren't just any pipes. Measuring 7.5 meters or 25 feet in diameter, they dwarfed anything you'd find beneath a city street. Buried beneath the desert, this colossal system transported 6.5 million cubic meters of water every day, enough to fill 2,600 Olympic swimming pools daily. This project was truly astonishing. But where was the water coming from? Beneath the arid desert sands, lying beneath some of the driest landscapes on the planet, are what we call fossil aquifers, huge underground lakes that formed over 30,000 years ago. Gaddafi's plan, yes, that Gaddafi, was to harness these long-forgotten reservoirs and supply fresh water to Libya's coastal cities, farmlands, and industries. It was daring. It was genius. It was audacious. But against all odds, it succeeded. By the 1990s, water was flowing. Cities that once faced severe shortages were now tapping into ancient water hidden beneath the desert. Farmers gained access to irrigation in a country where less than 2% of the land was suitable for farming. The system became so vital that Gaddafi himself called it the eighth wonder of the world. Unfortunately, much like many great wonders of history, this one too would soon fade away. In 2011, war struck. NATO targeted key pumping stations, and when Gaddafi fell, so did the project. Maintenance quickly deteriorated. Pipes cracked, water flow dwindled, and soon enough, the vision of a desert paradise withered under the relentless heat. Today, the remains of the project lie buried, with hundreds of kilometers of pipeline hidden beneath the sand, a ghost of what might have been. Some water still trickles through, but Libya's grand dream of transforming its landscape has faded. What was once an engineering marvel is now just another testament to human ambition. Abandoned, incomplete, and slowly being reclaimed by the desert it aimed to conquer. And there you have it, 5 of the most ambitious megaprojects that were meant to change the world, but ended up as billion-dollar cautionary tales. From particle accelerators hidden in Texas, to canals that never saw a single ship. These projects showed that even the boldest visions can crumble under the weight of politics, economics, or sheer bad luck. But what do you think? Which of these failed megaprojects surprised you the most? And are there any other unfinished behemoths we should cover next? Let us know in the comments. If you enjoyed this deep dive into abandoned megaprojects, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss any of our episodes. Until next time, keep dreaming big. Just be sure the funding's secured first.